if I was a guy. This color is like the first wife that I was absolutely head over heels in love with, that I outgrew because I didn't change or like try to better myself. And she eventually divorced me. And then this shade that I use now that I don't really like as much is like the girl I'm dating right now who's like 20 years younger than me, that we have absolutely nothing in common. But I pay her a lot of money to spend time with me and make me forget that I'm alone in this existence. So I will start with that color. Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sin. On my channel, I love to talk about female directors and other women in Hollywood who are trailblazing the industry. I wanted to talk about my experience on film sets as a crew member while I do a makeup look. I already have it on for the intro, but I will show you how I got this eye look. It's very simple, nothing too crazy. While I put on this eye look, I'm going to talk about my experience as a production designer on a film set. So let's get right into this look. I have no inspiration. Should I pull up some inspiration? You know what? No, I'm gonna do a simple eye look. Okay, so I have my base on. No blush. I found that putting the whole look on from like a bare face is just too distracting. So I thought, why not just focus on like an eye look? I'm gonna look back at this footage one day and be like, I remember when my studio was in my mom's basement and I had this rinky dinky little desk down there and all my lights set up. That's how I'd film my videos. And hopefully one day I'll have a big desk where I can put my notes and my recording equipment and all the stuff I'm working with. We all start somewhere, and I'm not complaining. I love this studio. What eyeshadow? I want to do something simple. I want to do a simple eye look. So I'm gonna go with my trusty palettes. Do not laugh at me. I've had these palettes for quite some time under consumption core. These are my go-to palettes. Should I do like the influencer thing? I just gotta like flash it because I don't have a big enough hand. This one's a little smaller, but these are the palettes. I don't even know if they make this wave anymore. I'd have to look into it. And yeah, you can tell this palette has been loved. There's some colors I love more than others. I think there's even some colors I haven't even touched. This, I'm realizing this is my favorite color. Obviously, like it's completely gone. And the only thing I have in my collection that sort of resembles it, that doesn't really, is this shade in this palette. It's gonna be this shade, but not even. If I was a guy, this color is like the first wife that I was absolutely head over heels in love with, that I outgrew because I didn't change or like try to better myself. And she eventually divorced me. And then this shade that I use now that I don't really like as much is like the girl I'm dating right now who's like 20 years younger than me, that we have absolutely nothing in common. But I pay her a lot of money to spend time with me and make me forget that I'm alone in this existence. So I will start with that color. Okay, so the set that I was on was for the film school I was in. It wasn't like a professional set. I don't think I've ever worked on a professional set. I've worked on a production. I haven't really physically been on a set, but the biggest production I ever worked on was like a costume assistant for Paramount, a Sandra Bullock movie. And I only got that job because the previous assistant, I don't really know too much about it. She kind of like went off her rocker, screamed at a bunch of people, quit on the spot, and they just needed someone to fill her role because they were shooting in the Dominican Republic and they needed a lot of things like sent out. So I was running around all of Los Angeles. That's how I learned my way around Los Angeles, that production assistant job. Yeah, because prior to that, I didn't really go out. Like unless I had to be out to do something, you did not catch me in those LA streets. Unless I was like at school or hanging out with friends, like I never left my house. And so that job forced me to learn all the interstates, all the surface streets. Like without that job, I would not know LA the way I know it now. And everyone I worked with was so nice. And like I got that job because I was in between jobs. And after that job, I got a job at a country club. And also like my best friend died. Like it was just an insane summer for me.
Honestly, I can't even fucking cap no more, Issa. This is a really dark time for me. I'm going through a lot.
So I'm glad that job brought me a little bit of like stability for the few weeks I was hired onto that project before it like wrapped up filming. That's not the focus of this video. This video, I'm going to talk about the time I was a production designer. I was at a community college getting the credits I needed to be able to transfer into USC's cinema directing program. In my second to last semester, I remember we picked a script to develop, and then we all got to pick or at least vote on the roles we wanted in that film. Whoever's script we chose would then have to direct the script they wrote. So they would have to like learn how to be a director, and like our teachers were like coach them and stuff. Everyone else was assigned based on like who the director wanted in certain roles. I'm gonna keep it honest with you. I think I want to do something outside of my comfort zone and something I don't have too much experience with. So I just did production design. So like, that's interesting. I don't know what that is. And production design, I'm not gonna pull up Google, but basically they're the ones that get the furniture. They're the ones that maybe even build furniture, scout for locations and things like that. They are the ones putting the scene together before the actors get on set. I think it's amazing. I loved production design. It was such a nice challenge and something completely out of my comfort zone and outside of the scope of what I was pursuing. So I liked it. So once we were assigned our roles, we had various meetings where we read the script multiple times. The people that were assigned to be casting directors, they held auditions. I read the script and looked out for props, looked out for locations. I was already getting like an idea from the numerous times we had read the script, like what places we would need, if we would need to scout, like what we could shoot like on campus and what we might have to shoot off campus. Thank God with our project, we could shoot everything on campus. It just worked out in that way. But we learned like if we had to go out and scout a location, what permits the city would require of us, what insurance we would need, if we would need police. I didn't know this, but like on film sets, depending on the size and the time of day and all these good things, you need like by law in California, because California has so many like regulations, you need security on set to keep people safe. I didn't know that. That was news to me. After those meetings, and I kind of made my list, I went through my list. I then went to see around campus what would work for which specific scenes. There are lots of places outside of campus we didn't need permission to use, but then there were some scenes that needed to be shot like indoors that we needed permission for. It was my job to get in contact with like department heads that you would contact instead of like the dean of the campus. But like those meetings, those emails, like that's what I was in charge of. And once the locations were kind of down pat, I then worked on set dressing and seeing if I had a space like this studio I'm working in right now, how can I transform that into the room I need it to be? And there was this one empty storage unit and I transformed that into a bedroom. That's another thing, props. I met with the director and the cinematographer for the film, which were my classmates, and kind of got a feel for what color scheme they wanted, what kind of props they were looking for, if there was anything specific they really, really were wanting for certain scenes. That like made a list of all the props I would need. Our teacher, he said this thing I loved and I kind of go by, and that's kind of how I start dressing a set now, because now I have experience with this. What we have to do is we have to beg, borrow, and steal to kind of keep the budget down, because I had a budget I could use, but you know, it was a student film. There was only so much money they could allocate to me. One of the things we had to, like, it was a non-negotiable, we had to spend money on was we had to rent an ice cream truck, because in the script our characters are like retired spies or something, and they steal from an ice cream truck, and it's like a rundown ice cream truck that the owner was gonna set on fire and like claim the insurance money. So he was like all for us stealing it. And so we had to spend some money on an actual ice cream truck. And because of that, I had the exciting challenge. That's how I see it. I was like, what can I do? I made a list and I sent it out to all the cast and crew members. I was like, if any of you guys entrust us with your personal belongings and could help us set these scenes with these props, if you have any of these things like just randomly lying around in your house, I would love to borrow them. We would love to use them in the movie. And there's this one person who had a bunch of really cute, like, nerdy memorabilia. Like, they had all the Funko Pops and like board games and all these things, and that really, like, they pulled through and they really helped set that room for the bedroom. Like, and there's also so many rooms in our school that were already kind of dressed for the rooms that we needed them to be. The Spy's Hidden Lair, there was like a workshop class that let us use their space, which was already done up like a warehouse and stuff. So that was all really cool, and that really came in clutch. After that, I borrowed some stuff around school. I sent an email to a bunch of the department heads and I was like, hey, if you guys have any of these things, I would love to use them. And after I exhausted all those resources, then I bought a few things. I bought a few things to decorate the inside of the van. I spent some money on the decorations on the outside of the van. It was a lot of fun, and I'm really happy with the way things turned out. So if you are ever looking for a production designer who stays within budget, is resourceful, and uses all of her resources, I'm your girl. I haven't personally watched the movie just because when it premiered, I had already moved back to Virginia, so I couldn't physically go to the premiere. And it's in the circuits for film festivals, so it's not available online. But when the director makes it available, I'll definitely react to it, because I'm very proud of that specific project. I was a little nervous to step out of my comfort zone and do something besides like acting or directing and be a crew member, because to be quite frank with you, since I'd never done it before, I thought I wouldn't do a good job. But with my professor's guidance the entire step of the way, it just felt so feasible. Also, I'm sitting here thinking there was a little bit of drama on set because, like I said before, we as students submitted our films to be made, but obviously not everyone's film was made. That semester, there's only like a handful. I think we only made I can't remember the exact number, but we made a small quantity of films. And one of the main actors, was not happy with this, because I think maybe he was under the impression that everyone's film was going to get made. And so he just felt like they weren't being honest with him. He felt like betrayed or lied to. I don't know the exact lore of it, but the reason he agreed to be an actor for this film was because he liked the director personally and wanted to do the director this favor. The entire time we were filming, he just kept butting heads with our professors. He had every right to be upset. We all maybe didn't agree with the outburst, but I definitely understand where he was coming from. He wasn't being a menace to be a menace, that was just how he was expressing his disdain for how he felt he was treated. And then another day on set, it was a hot day. It was so hot because where we were shooting was this little street behind our campus. And so we were filming, and this one guy comes in and he's like, "Hey, you're blocking the way." He's driving, trying to get through, and we're trying to film, and we're like, "Oh, it's closed, we're filming, so we close it off." But legally speaking, we couldn't officially close it off, but we had put some cones to kind of give us a little buffer between people in cars and ourselves. Me personally, I wouldn't have an attitude. Especially if I was the man in that car, that busted up car at his big old age, fighting with college students. That just, no matter how you look at it, it just did not look good. I think he ended up cursing at us. I think he was like, "Fuck." Oh, I remember why he ended up cursing at us. Because we were like, "Hey dude, we're filming, we're students. This is our college campus. We're just trying to film this. You just turn around, da da da. He's like, no, this is the street. This doesn't belong to your college. This is for everyone to use, da 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 da. And because our director is like kind of like a shy guy, and he's, you know, just like, he's never gonna pick a fight. He's just a sweetheart, right? Remember, the actor who's playing the main protagonist, he loves this director. And so when he saw him like have an attitude with the director, he was like, oh, fuck no. You don't get to talk to him that way. And then they got into it. They got into like a screaming match. And then he just drove off because like that's all he wanted to do anyway. And so that was like another thing where it was just like, we're just trying to finish strong. We're just trying to get through this film day. I love these half lashes. They look so cute. I feel like if I were to go back to LA for a time, I wouldn't mind filling any of those other roles before I got a chance to direct. I'm going to throw on some mascara, put a little bit of blush on, and put on a little lip. Okay, so this is the finished look. Just like a simple, nothing too crazy look. So that was my experience as a production designer on a film set. Now that I'm sitting here thinking, I actually have a lot of film experience. As always, thank you so much for watching. I love making these videos as much as I hope you guys enjoy watching them. To support, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Final one. All right, good.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Sound ready?
Okay, all quiet on set, please. Roll sound.
Sound is rolling.
Roll camera.
Rolling.
Mark it.
Scene 2E, take 4. Oh, easy. Whoa, you good, boss, or easy, boss? You don't remember how we? And then I'm good. And then, or Glenn goes, I'm good.